Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Okay, so welcome everybody to episode 12 of Gestating Narratives, and we're here together. So let us come into this sewing ritual space together, and we're going to start first by taking some deep breaths, grounding into the present moment wherever you're at. Feeling into the core of our beings, and feeling into our connection with the earth and the sky and the cosmos, and breathing, inhaling that awareness and exhaling our gratitude for this space. So first, we're going to acknowledge the land that we stand on, the indigenous land that we stand on. Whichever people's land you stand on. And then also expanding our awareness to the lands in which all of our ancestors have tended to, have lived on, have a place before they might have been disconnected from the land. Let us honor the spaces when they were connected at some point, in reciprocity with the land and in relationship with that. And so, standing on the land with the sky above and the sea that surrounds, we call on all of our healed ancestors to come into this space. We call on the elements of fire, air, earth, and water, and Akasha to come guide us through the process of transformation with all of our materials as we raise our imagination flag and we enter into this realm held by our wonder, our imagination, our intuition, our feelings, our emotions, our dreams, our subconscious thoughts and sensations, and being held by this wonder. We've been working on our sewing piece. We've been working on sewing our gestating narratives piece, and the poem that we have, we'll bring it in with each episode to remember and reflect the energy of the dance that we infused with this. You can find a link to that in the description below, where we were, where few garments, and we were cutting them up and draping them on the living being that is in constant development. And so this was our impression of that dance, of that draping, seen as a dance. Excuse me. Okay. Fruit is sun glow. Pull through dreaded shoulder, relaxed shoulders. Warmth I am. Eggscape. Escape shell. Held by wonder. Emerge through. Blackened backs, shadows turned, face to the sun, to the fruit. Morning turns and swells, responsive in rising. So those are some of our feelings, some of our articulations of what we've been processing and how we've been processing. And yeah, we did some binding yesterday. Something I want to just mention as we enter into this space is that there's no need to really chronologically watch this. You can jump through it and you can take whatever reflections that jump out to you. As analogy for your own life. And also you're welcome to post comments and ask questions. You're welcome to just work alongside me, and so that we can be in this space that goes beyond time and space. And so whenever or wherever you might be, we are here together sewing this, or you don't have to even sew. It could be something else. It could be a drawing, it could be a darning, it could be a painting or anything. It could be anything that you are recreating, that you're recycling energy somehow. Even eating food is recycling energy. So we can think about how we're recycling our energy and where it's going. And so anything that I say, anything that I articulate as I'm doing this, whether it be narrating what I'm doing or expressing my own thoughts, it can become, like I said, an analogy. And so I'm gonna turn on the iron. We're gonna heat up the iron to press some of our bindings that we made. And taking a look at what's happening here. I think this sleeve was reaching over behind and meeting this other place. So yesterday we weren't sure which sleeve went where, so this one, this was a cut in the hem that came before, and it was like a little slit in the cuff, in the hem of the sleeve, and so we've opened it up, and to close it, I'm thinking about just making a little French seam dart, so we can remember that the sleeve with the pin in it is the one we're gonna dart, and the other sleeve here is what we want to become an opening, because this is actually going to become what? A sleeve, like a wrist. Something to put your wrist through. And so to do that, let's see, we have this binding, so we can just bind it, or we can make like a facing. But we do want to make it a little bit bigger so that it's easier to put on. And then also we might add some buttons. To close it. And then if we add buttons, then we need to add button holes or button loops, and these are all our buttons that we were cutting off with the previous, we were cutting off from the original garments. So I like these blue buttons. Maybe we'll use some of those. Actually, I'm not even really a fan of buttons, but they will keep it on our wrist. Whoever's wrist it will go to. A gentle button. Two gentle buttons, clear and blue. Yes. So that's our favorite word, isn't it? So anyways, okay. We have our facing, or what we're gonna bind the opening with for that. And then we have this other binding that we can sew and then flip. We can stitch it closed and then flip it around, and then that can become the loops for our buttons. So we do need to stitch this before we can really put this on, because we'll need to create this like these loops to then like just like put here. That's what I'm thinking. But since they're going to be enclosed in the seam, this is our chance to enclose it into the seam finish. So first we'll do this, and then we'll do this, and then we'll stitch the buttons on. That's one thing that we need to do. And then another thing is to well, we can do that really quick before we go over to the iron, because yeah. Might as well, because I know I've been like strapping it up, the camera up to the behind the sewing machine to hold it up. But that's usually if I have a lot of material that I can't get the camera close to the foot so you can see what I'm doing. But here, oh, we need to plug our machine in. Plugging the machine in. Plugging the machine in. What's the machine say? Plugging the machine in my macro lens, you see me now. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, we do have to wind our bobbin. Wind our bobbin. It's actually our faff, so we have our thread up here. Our light switch. Our bobbin here. Wrapping around. Wrapping around. Am I watching what I'm doing through the lens? Oh, whoops. Probably should have lifted the foot up, because I just broke a needle. Oh, you know, this thread up here just got tangled, so I'll just make sure that we don't get tangled. Wow, well, our bobbin is, come on, bobbin. Just thinking works well if it's just if I just make sure to hold it in place, like pressing it with my scissors towards there, it's working. And this is a quick fix. I'm not sure if there's something better I could do, but this is working for now. And I think we've got our bobbin. We've got our bobbin. Okay. Wow. You know, all the blue, yesterday we were talking about oh yeah, there's our foot. Well, wait, no, that's our foot's right here. That's where our foot would go, but this is our actual foot, right? And yeah, so yeah, yesterday we were talking about sewing. Just kidding. No, really, we were talking about sewing. Oh, so funny, so funny. I got my needles. Okay. Gotta get a new needle. We gotta get a new needle. Universal number 16. Oh my gosh. Universal recognizing the multiversal? That's Jersey. I don't want Jersey. Oh, we got some different sizes here. 10, 12, and 14. Well, I'm gonna go with a 12 for now. Schmitz. Okay. Oh, careful, be careful. And the calling of what you say, closing the needle slider. Needle slider, it's like slides down, and then this part folds back, and then you can take out the needle, and then you like fold it back up, and then you slide it up. There's a little home sewing for you. But yeah, the needle, getting a new needle, I mean, that's saying something. It's like what we're focusing on is shifting, because what I was about to say was that, like, there's our new needle. You want to see? Oh yeah, micro lens, you see my needle? Yeah, there it is. Okay, so yesterday, yeah, needle, thinking about what we're focused on, even just what I said, like the universe, like what is it that we're focused on? Where are we centering our energy, like kind of like our web of all of everything in our awareness and our relationship to that. And the pressure foot. And it wasn't just the foot that came off, it was like the whole pressure foot that came off. That actually needs to be screwed on, because it has this lever here where the foot can just come off, but the actual part came off when that needle broke. So I'm gonna get a screwdriver. And so what I was talking about with like the point, getting to the point, going round and round. I mean, the bobbin goes round and round in circles, back and forth. The top thread, that goes round and round. Oh, that doesn't fit. The earth goes round and round. There's a lot of things that go round and round. I mean, it might not be perfectly round, but a ball that's rolling down a hill, and what's something that's round where you are? Round belly, round eyeball. Let me get a drink of water. I see a spiral here. Put on my spiral ring. So, yeah, things going round, but then also like, what's I guess a focal point, like the focal point of an eyeball is like, wow, that's just a tiny screw. It's so tiny. Might be too tiny. The focal point of our pupil is round, and that's also how we focus. So yeah, that's really interesting to think about. Yeah. However, the other screwdrivers. I do have something somewhere. I know it. I know it somewhere. Screwdriver, where are you? Are you downstairs in another part? I found you. Okay. Yeah, even though we're in constant movement, it's like the focus is the constant, or the stillness, or it can be. I suppose it's a choice. And yeah, so as we change our needle, are we also changing our focus? As we change our needle, are we changing our focus? How has our focus changed? Oh, we did that same thing again where we put the needle in the wrong hole. Let's put it back into the same hole. Okay, so you know, we have a new needle, but it's still being held by the same things. So that's interesting. Like the needle, I might have a new needle, I might have a new focus, I might have a new point, but it's still being held by the same things. And I remember yesterday I was saying that, like, okay, I'll get to that at some point when talking about the blue thread and the white thread, but for now I want to, I'm folding this bias in half, and sewing it. Moving our stitch length to be at 3 and not a negative number. It was negative before, and now we're at 3, so things have shifted. Lowering the foot, taking our stand, lining up the edge of the material with the edge of our foot, the right edge of our material with the edge of our foot, and stitching along. And I find that the bias can be kind of like bouncy, like, see how it kind of like changes in width based on the tension? Well, I'm feeding it through without putting any tension on it, allowing the feed dogs from below to, like, they're pulling it. See down here underneath the material, there's these, like, they're things called feed dogs, and they're like feeding it through. It's feeding it through, feeding it through, it's feeding it through, it's feeding it through. And now I'm like, how am I going to flip this? It's so small. So now I have this piece of material here, and I'm getting into the center of my being, remembering to center myself and breathe. How will I flip this? It's so tiny because I have this safety pin here. Sometimes I use the safety pin method, but clearly the safety pin is too big for this hole. And so, something I've done in the past is to use a rounded needle. Let's go find our rounded needle. Oh, this kind of needle, you know, it's not as sharp. It's round. Let's see if I have it. Okay. Here's some different parts. Oh. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah. These needles here. See, they're like, it's not pointy. It probably has a name. What will we name it? Round? No. Anti-point. There's my spiral. Going round and round and round. Okay, so here we have our pieces, right? I have our needle. Our needle will our needle fit through here? Let's see. Yeah. It'll fit. Oh yeah, it'll definitely fit. So what we need to do is somehow connect like this, because we're going to be flipping this. This needs to begin tucking inside, so we need to somehow connect the hole and this. And I can do that. You know, I can definitely do that. I can connect the seam allowance to the needle's eye. The needle's eye. The eye of the needle. That's a good thing to remember. The eye of the needle. Okay, I'm just pretty much gonna stitch between the eye of the needle and this seam allowance. There's probably many different ways to do this, and this is just what's gonna happen right now. Yeah. Okay. The eye of the needle. Okay. Now we can tie these two ends together. The eye of the needle. That's interesting because, like, I was just saying that the point is rounded, something that's going round and round, and then remembering that the place that has a place here. Okay, so now, or it has a history, has a name, a shape, the shape of an eye. It's very inherent in its own being, I would say. Okay. That's so funny. That's so punny. All right. Wiggling. We're just like wiggling this. Oh, you see my beautiful thumb that's healing? Yeah. I'm gonna soak that in vinegar later today. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Yeah. Sliding through. Okay, so once we get it through little by little, we see what we're pulling through, and it's pulling through. And the oh look, the needle's already coming out the other side. And yeah, so like this the seam allowance here is, as you can see, is wider than this part, and that's actually good for what we're doing because it's gonna make it round and tubular. Look what we've done. You can see. See the turning button loops. And now see, we just have our eye connected to our seam allowance. What have we allowed? What seems to have allowed? And we cut it off. And we keep on sewing. A sigh. I wonder, like, why the image on here? Oh, that's weird. Okay, it was recording. I'm just like looking at the screen on my computer and I guess it was paused, but it didn't stop recording, so we're good. Okay. Right, we have our button loops. Can join these as loops for the buttons to go through. And in this case, we're gonna need to make a shank for the button that is the length of this round, the diameter of this kind of like, it's kind of like a rope now, but not quite. Yeah, okay. Let us turn our iron on again because it's cooled down a bit. There's some layers of all our fabrics. Okay. Singing a song, oh, a song, singing a song of ways that has been undiluted to and beyond, undiluted to and beyond. So this was a piece that we stitched yesterday, and now we can sew it again. No, not sew it again. We can press it. Press this piece. And then in this, remembering how it will be hanging. It will be, this blue will be hanging from the flower, and so I'm gonna just press this. That's okay. Come on. The screen turned off. Okay. I don't know if it turned off for you. Oh yeah. Okay, we're back. What is real? What is true? What is real? And what is true? What is real? And what is true? That was a sound memory of a song. If you know okay. Kind of some more. With this part we have gathers. We have gathers to iron out, to smooth out. But sometimes our gathers are voluminous and we don't want to iron them out. And so, how will they land? Like, could just iron them down how they are, but something I want to be sure to remember is that there are, in all of these materials and these fabrics, sometimes there's like irregularities, like here. Here there's like a little fuzz poking out, and I just want to remember to come back at some point and to like do something with that. So for now, I might just put a little stitch in it, a little red stitch, so that maybe it'll catch my eye and I'll remember to do that. Okay. I could put another one on the front over here where I know there's some loose parts. It's got to be something. I'll do something to bring these to a finish. Otherwise, their finish will be their own unraveling. So what does it mean to replace a finish? To construct a finish, because we know that it's already coming. Okay. So yeah, I want these gathers to really just like be pointed up towards the material, towards, yeah, so I might need to just steam it. So I'm not like pressing it, but I'm more just like steaming it up. And then hand pressing. So I'm just holding it. That seems to be working well. Because then when it's hanging, it'll be like that. Okay, that's what it is for now. I know that this part was wrapping around to something, but I'm not really sure what now. Oh yeah, I do need to close up this. Remove this button. We don't like having buttons with big functions. Oh yeah, we can press this part. So many parts to wrap around. Parts to wrap around. Parts to wrap around. Movement circling round and through the focus of regenerating our at the core of our vitality. Oh, you can't see me, can you? Come along to the other side. Oh, this beautiful sleeve. I just love this beautiful sleeve. at the neck, and yeah, there's just this binding to kind of press out. It's like if this is the neck and I'm just opening it and then putting the iron, gliding the iron along the inside to smooth out the folds of so many layers. Meanwhile, the bottom of the dress is falling off the ironing board. Yeah, what does it mean to really finish something, and what state of mind, even in the dream space, dreaming of how things are created, how things have been created, how things have been controlled, how things have been tended. All right. Oh, looks like we have some ruffles down here that were like pressed, and so now they collapse as they are pressed, but they don't, we can, like, they're pressed into a fold, but they're meant to not be folded. Although they do have like some tucks kind of tucked in, but that's what's happening. That's some things that are happening. Okay. We have this back seam that's going to be flat felled, and so we do need to press that. We have our sleeve board out, and we're just going to press along. Press along here. Sounds of the steam rolling through. There's many seams coming together here, and I just want to iron them so that they will rest in a flattened position, so they're not so bulky. Okay, and then thinking about how this seam will be finished. See, here we have this is how we're going to flat fill the seam, by top stitching along here and enclosing the seam allowance here. But the thing is that we have some parts to maybe fold under somehow to finish. And then also thinking about where it meets. Where is our top stitch gonna land? Is it gonna be just right on top of this stitch here? This stitch here? Or is it going to be like on the edge here? Probably just going to go right over where there already is a stitch. And then also we just have some bindings on the inside too. To bind, to finish binding. Oh yeah. And then we have our sleeve. The one without a clip, a pin in it, is the longer one. And here. And so we have this bias, right? We're going to be joining kind of like this, wrapping around with the seam on the side so that I don't have to worry about the seam being on one of these points. And I'm going to cut this in half because we're going to have 2 loops. And I want the loop to be like big enough to be able to wrap around the button, but not too big. So see what I'm doing now? Okay. So I'm laying it like this, because this is how it's going to finish, because this binding is going to stitch on here like this and then be folded over. So that looks about right to me. So to make sure that this is all even, I'm going to cut here. I need to cut these ends off, but that seems kind of wasteful to cut 2 ends when I could just figure out the exact length and then cut one end. So what happens when I measure that against the other one? Then it looks like we're just cutting it in half pretty much. In which case we could have 4 buttons, 4 buttonholes. So we have enough material for that. Oops. So we're going to put this here and this here. One thing I'm thinking of is maybe we could just like put buttons, put these all the way down. And then like we could just have 4, and then if we wanted to, it could just be button closed like all the way and be more of like a wing, or we could like open it up. Like, you know what I mean? So we'll do that, because we definitely have 4 buttons. So what does that mean to you? What does that mean to you and me? All these buttons, buttonhole buttons. But what am I even buttoning? What is buttoning mean to you? Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay. Strapping this up here. Coming around. Hello, there's my face. What's buttoning? What is buttoning? Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. All right, there's our foot. So if you're tuning into this, feel free to make any comments or type in any questions that comes to you. Okay. Oh, that's lovely. Chord. Okay. So first, pre-stitching those bits. Let's make sure they're all the same length. I know we were cutting everything in half and then in half again, and There's some, looks like this one's a little bit longer here. We can trim it. It's also a little bit like stretched out, so okay. Maybe we should first just kind of like mark where we want things to go. Thinking up here, here, it's going to be buttonholes on one side and then buttons on the other side. In case you're wondering down these holes with me, wandering down the holes, wandering down the holes. Okay. I could like probably measure that out a little bit, but I'm also just like shifting them around with my eyeball. We got four. We got four for 4 loops. 4 for 4 loops. 4 for 4 loops. Okay. Now comes the time of centering the loops around the needles, and to begin this stitching, we're going to do a tiny stitch since these are tiny things. And you can't really see what I'm doing, can you? What if I shift this down? Can you see better? No, not really. Let me try something else. Ooh. That's get, maybe there's like a piece of wood I can strap to it or something, because that piece of wood is like too narrow. Pardon our troubleshooting. Yeah. I think that's better. Right? Because now you can see this. Now yeah, you can kind of see what I'm doing a little better. So, yeah. Just nudging up the two sides of the loop so that they're touching each other. And then we're using a pretty tiny stitch to base them. And as we place our next piece, we're going to just hold it in place with exactly where we want it with our needle. And then take out the needle, the pin, and then place the other side of the loop. And I have my scissors here, kind of making sure that it feeds through, but also, okay, sometimes the pressure of the foot might like push it out, so just make sure, like, we'll just make sure that they're touching as we get to that exact point in the stitch. Making sure to not sew over any pins or any metal. And our stitch is so tiny that we're not doing any back tacks. because we are also going to be sewing over this again when we do the binding. Light flickering through the window. Face to the sun. Okay, we've done it. Now we can release all of our threads. Clipping all of our threads. And next comes the exciting part. So very exciting. Okay. And we're gonna start on the other side so that our seam can be on the other side where there's not all this other stuff going on. And I think I want to do it so that the shirt part is on top because of the kind of mitering that we're going to be doing. Okay. Sewing. Here. Can you see? Okay. So I have this layer, and we're going to shift it so that by the time I get to this exact point, it's going to be, so instead of lining up these two seams edge to edge, we're going to taper it as we sew. And as we sew, we'll still maintain a parallel stitch line to the edge of our bias that's underneath here. Okay? But the only thing that's shifting is this top part, okay? And yeah, so we're just gonna make a straight line. Once we get close to the point that we're aiming for, we're going to make our stitch length even smaller. So once it starts tapering more, I'm going to go smaller. Oops. Okay, so I kind of messed that up because I started tapering the bias strip when I want it. I want to maintain that seam allowance so that that material has some grip. We don't want both the materials to be stitched right on the edge. So I need to unclip this a bit. So we're going to rewind it a little bit, overlap our stitching. Okay. Remember what we said before, to just focus on this, lining up the edge. Make our stitch smaller. Keep going. I'm going to like mark that point with a pin so I know exactly where to stop. Okay, and now this is kind of like a miter, so we're gonna twist everything around to line up, lay flat, and then continue. And now the other side will be tapering as well. So keep in mind that we're just following the edge. And then we're gonna, on the other side, we're gonna eventually start tapering again. Making our stitch length smaller. Going to the point. Oh, right, we want to mark our point, so we know exactly where to start, stop, and pivot. I wonder how that relates to perception and like boundaries. Okay. pivoting, 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 turning everything around, 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 around. Okay, okay, okay. Coming all around, it's coming all around. Make sure we get everything laying nice and flat before we start stitching again. Make our length a little bit bigger. You can hear my bracelet scraping against the table. Okay, just continuing to overlap, and now we're at the end, so let's take a look at what's happened. I have to plug the computer in, so hold on a second. Okay. I'm gonna drink of water. Okay, this is what we have here, and so we're going to press all of these around. To create our binding. And I do want to do that right now so that, because this is kind of a delicate opening, so. Let's come back over to the ironing board to do this. Got to do some adjustment. Okay. And just pressing towards that seam allowance, folding the bias over. You see, and then on this side, we'll fold it over like that. See, then we're gonna open it up and we're gonna just do our binding. And then we'll do we'll do a stitch to like make these points secure. I'm thinking about doing like an understitch on here too, so that the I wonder if it'll do that. Or if that's too much for the binding to go around like a 180-degree turn. So yeah, I think that's too much. So let's come back over here. We could probably move it over a little bit more and slide it over. But like, I don't know if that'll end up getting lost in a sea of fabric. So let's come back. Okay. And before, on the neckline, when we had the bias like overlapping like this, we did a little invisible stitch. So we might as well do that again, since we did it before. If we want to keep our stitches consistent, which maybe we do, maybe we don't. I guess my bias, speaking of bias, my bias is like, yeah, let's not on the inside. Let's hide our knots. Let's hide our tails. Let's tuck everything in. Let's just enclose everything so it's nice and enclosed and just there. And I think it might be different if like I was making clothes that were intended to be altered, but also like some parts of this are intended to be altered, so just not all of them. It's like some parts are like finished to the T, but some are left kind of like open-ended. So yeah, it's can go so many different directions. Maybe even the amount of directions that I say so. But even with that, like, it's just kind of infinite. It's just kind of infinite. wean this off and we're gonna go into our binding around. Okay. So even as we get to that area of our point, our binding we just line up the edge of the fold with our stitch line. And keep going. Just keep going. Okay, so now we have this. This is what our situation looks like, and we want to just, this is what we want it to be, okay? So we're gonna be pressing this in, and so at each corner on the inside, we're gonna stitch along a little diagonal just from this edge to this edge. you can see, just stitching here. And on the other side, same thing, just stitching here. So we can do that with a tiny stitch, and we can do that with a back tack as well, like, yeah. And this is something that will hold the little bit in place. Okay. When we pulled it out, it kind of snagged a spot. So now we have another snag to kind of tend to. So there's the opening for the wrist, okay? And then we can attach our buttons to the binding when we get there. And so now we can move into the inside. Well, wait, before I forget, let's see if did that snag go away? No, that snag is still there. It's on the inside. And we'll just put a tack there to remind ourselves. A little reminder that we have a snag to tend to. There's could tend to a snag how a lot of different ways. It's another one of those infinity things. Okay. Now we're going to bind the inside of the wing, where the wing, yesterday we joined our binding to where the wing has joined to the ocean sky, and so now we're going to wrap our binding around and enclose all these seams and finish it off. So the inside will be taken care of. And I'm brought back to the issue of the white thread and what does that mean to transition from blue to white thread. And then I'm remembering that we changed our needle at that point, and that shifted our focus, like maybe focusing on skin color, if it's like a Hindu god or a blue spirit, and then thinking about white thread. I mean, just thinking about where we're at here in the present moment, it's like this is like a second skin kind of, and so thinking about concepts and how they affect our realities. How do they shape our realities, and how do they like distort them? 'Cause like just thinking about that there are like so many different hues and so many different colors of skin, and then thinking about like the construct of whiteness, how it's related to skin color, but it's also like a construct of maybe behavior, qualities, status. Okay, we're going to be clipping this. And then so then what are the qualities of this material here? What are some qualities we can think of that are just that we notice? It could be defying previous constructs, it could be reflecting them. what I notice is that there is this this blue material. It's like blue and white woven together, and I'm also thinking of like light as a reflection on the water, and now I'm trying to fold around this point. Should I trim it down? Oh. Okay, before I do that, it looks like some of this binding got caught, and so that's one reason why maybe there's not very much to wrap around, is because it's like caught in the seam. I'm just thinking about like resilience, and I was just thinking of like having our hearts just like broken open to really feel and be present. Sometimes like agony can feel so subtle. It's hard to acknowledge. It can be hard to acknowledge. And I think opening our hearts more and more just opens our capacity and our sensitivity to those, to recognizing that, and like how to navigate it too. Oh. I have a cut like right on the tip of my finger. I think I got it from slicing mushrooms when I was making lunch today, and looks like I got some blood on there. And I need to get that out. Okay, these feed dogs are like lifted and really irritating, and maybe if I put them down, it can just slide right in there. Also, this is the first time I've bled in a live, or at least gotten blood on the material, and so, you know, there's a glimpse into the reality of my humanity. And I'm almost wanting to just hand sew this part so that I can move on and like just not have to worry about it anymore. But maybe if I put a couple pins in, holding it in place, maybe that'll get us to where we want to go. Just being able to like wrap around these tight corners. Okay, we got 3 pins, 3 whole pins in holding us in place, and we will be very careful and not take any of them out until we have surpassed them with a stitch. And we will be careful to not stitch over them as well. I mean, we'll stitch over them, but like not get all caught up in it. Okay. So it goes. So it goes. So it goes, stitching, fabricating. Wow, we did it. We bound the tip of the wing. Raised in flight versus the lowered wing, depending on if you're hanging upside down or you're reflecting in the water. there's some of our binding. Beautiful binding. Let's kind of take a look at what we have going on, where we're headed. Okay. Coming round, coming down and around. I wonder if it'd be easier if I ironed any of this before. It might be. Especially since one of my fingers is like bleeding. Tucking it in. Tucking it in. Don't worry, I can get the blood out. The question is, will I do that on the live? Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be transparent with everything. How transparent can I really be without existing? While existing. Or is my transparency a frequency? Like something that's transparent in nature. Is it just less dense? And so, is it sound? Is it, sound. Sound might be more transparent than like words, because words, because I'm seeing words becoming more dense as symbols interwoven between other letters that create words, that create language, and so it can become this dense power, whereas sound might be a frequency that is more transparent. Maybe it moves through. But what about a transparent piece of paper? It depends on what it is. If it's plastic, it might be more dense than a leaf that's been kind of decomposed, where you can see through the light. So what is density? Density of what? Density of density in all of its capacities, in all of its dimensions, in meaning, in interconnectivity, in how does it move? And how it moves, does it like weave together another form of density too? I want to tuck these tails into the binding itself. I mean, sometimes I like lick the thread and to put it through the needle. And then also when I iron it, like, that heats it up. That transforms the matter. Alright, we bound one wing, and I heard that somebody's own spit would take out any blood, and it seems to be working. It's like perfectly balanced. Can't be your blood, it has to be mine. I mean, your spit has to be mine. I think, I don't know, it might be wrong, but it seems to be working, at least. It seems to be working in the same. What seems to be working in the same. Oh, it seems to be working in the same. Oh, it seems. Oh my gosh, on this white material, we have all these seams. That have been serged, and I'm like so tempted to refinish all of them because they are. The serging is not my favorite thing, so we might do some top stitching around that. We could like top stitch on like a, because the thing is that some of the seams are already enclosed and stuff, but if we do some sort of like applique binding, it's not really binding, it's just like appliquing a folded strip on top or something. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that. Oh my gosh, binding this other wing is very exciting. there's like an extra layer of material here that I'm going to cut out because we don't need it. And it's going to be all enclosed, so it'll help making the finishing process smoother. And while we're at it, let us just bind. We'll just pin some things before we start sewing. Just pin them in place. Okay. Okay, now I'm getting to where these two might be folding around and like folding, 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 folding. Okay. Okay. Folding and wrapping around all my stitches, folding and wrapping around each other. Okay. Okay, coming together now. Coming together now. See how these all come together. Before I do that, I'm going to this hem is gonna be enclosed in the binding, and so I had stopped sewing the hem because I wasn't sure what was gonna happen in this area, so now I'm just going to finish the hem. Because now I know. Now I see. Some things we just can't escape, you know? Some things are just all around us, all the time. So then it's like, what do we do about it? What do we do about it? What do we do? Do, 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 do. What do we do? What do we do? Oh, sit right here and stitch this garment, and just stitch right here and stitch this ocean wing flying high. Ocean wing flying high above the sea, above the sea. Ocean wing above the sea. Okay. We're gonna have to do this in two parts because I realize that we'll be like stitching on the edge here that is a part of that other thing, and then once we do that, then we can come back down and stitch that other part down. stitching around, stitching They're all around, they're all around, they're all around. Just taking out the pins as we get to them. Coming through. Okay. Okay, coming back to this place, and we're gonna be stitching along the edge where our two rivers meet, and I think I'm just going to come around so that this can be a continuous situation. Okay, yeah, we did it. We're coming around. Okay, take this, move it out of the way, that under layer. And make sure that the underlayer stays flipped out of the way. So that we don't enclose into the seam. beautiful. This is all on the inside, and there's just like so many things happening, and it's all come together, and yeah. That's what matters. Okay. Moving along. Moving along to the other part of the wing. Moving along to the other part of the wing. Yes, we're moving along. Not trying to wrap around this one. This point has come into. This point has come in a double wrap on either side that meet at the point itself. Meet at the point itself. Okay, seriously, we just pinned like all the way down this binding, and we've done that throughout this situation with the wing binding to the ocean sky. And honestly, it might have been easier if I just ironed it all, but also it was kind of like difficult to get to. And here we are. Oh, back down to the stitches. Okay. Catch me on the stitches. Here I am. Here I am on the stitches. Here I am. You do do. Oh, oh, La, 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 la. This will be bound. This will all be bound. To this place. Tuck back in there, tuck back in there. Okay. What else can we do for today? We have our, oh, there's a lot flipping around, flipping through, flipping around. Okay, yeah, so we have this area on the back of the skirt part, and we can stitch this together. Okay. bunching. So, okay. What I gotta do, maybe take this out, maybe think about how we're gonna do it better, because that was kind of just free form. And even just looking at like how I had stitched these parts coming together, it's not very like the plackets aren't really lining up on top of each other, and maybe that's okay, but the seam that I just did was like, it didn't even really catch all the way, and then it was like bunching up, so it was not. It was either stretching or it was like not perfectly lined up with the bottom, or maybe it was already just not perfectly lined up with the bottom, or who knows. I just thought that when the plackets came together, I want the hem to be the same length, and so when I just started from the bottom going up, and then I started bunching. And I think we're almost at our tea time, and we can go over this tomorrow. You know, just think about how we might do a little bit, might come together better now that we know that that didn't work. Okay? So we've reached our stopping sewing point for the day. Right. So we'd like to thank all of our spirit guides, all of our ancestors, the elements of air, fire, earth, and water, and Akasha. We thank you for guiding us through this space today. And so now we'd like to release this realm, release this space for today. So thank you for joining in, and release it for today, release it for even beyond today. We'll just release this space now, and tomorrow there will be a new space, and so we'll see you then. We'll see you whenever. Okay, thank you.